Today we're talking about how to create the perfect wedding day timeline with your client.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking all about timelines and how to chat with your couples about it. Now, I will say we are lucky enough to work with a planner quite often, but if you don't work with a planner, the timeline typically falls on the photographers and the videographers to create the timeline with the couple.
So we like to meet with our clients to go through and create their timeline at least a month or two before their wedding date. This timing works out because at this point in the planning process, all of your major events like reception, dinner, dances, ceremony, hair and makeup, that's all been scheduled. So we'll take the information we have from that to start creating the timeline.
Okay, so at this point, we have scheduled a meeting with them, whether it's a Zoom meeting, phone call, or I prefer an in-person meeting if possible. Every wedding is unique. Everybody's doing something different, and that's okay. So that's why I normally start with the ceremony time, and then we will figure out and go from the ceremony time throughout the end of the evening, figuring out when reception starts, when cocktail hour starts, and when dinner starts. And this will allow us to know how much time we have for photos in between if they're not doing a first look. Now, if they are doing a first look, then that's when we will go to the beginning of the timeline to figure out when hair and makeup is gonna be done, when we can get the bride into her dress, and when we can start those photos.
It's important to make note that we're going to be doing that because every minute of the day adds up. And when you add too many things, then it starts to affect your timeline.
Typically for the getting ready portion of the day, we will need at least an hour and a half for everything. That would include our detail flat lays, just some random photos of everyone hanging out and getting their hair and makeup done, and then obviously everyone getting dressed, including the couple.
This is also when we would do audio recording for letters if they want to read letters to each other on the video, or if they're gonna do vows for the video, but not in the ceremony.
After they have gotten ready, they're in their dress, they're in their tux, then we would go and get set up for first look. First look typically takes about 10 minutes max, but we always recommend to the couple to take as much time as they need, and then we work around that because that is the most important part of the day. After that, we would start with bridal party, and that would take about maybe 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how big the bridal party is. And then depending on the timeline, let's say we have an hour and a half for photos, that would leave us between 35 to 40 minutes left of just portraits with our couple. The next thing that I always ask is, are we doing multiple locations for photos? Because we need to make sure that we add that into the timeline, and the travel time sometimes goes unmentioned, and that adds a lot of time in between for photos. So we need to make sure if we need to put in 10 extra minutes to go from one location to the next.
And make sure when you're doing this that you're not just factoring in the amount of time it takes to get from one point to the other, but also if there's gonna be any parking issues and walking time to get to the spots you wanna get to.
After that, we would be going to the ceremony. For us, we like to make sure that we're there with enough time prior to the guests or arriving, or depending on how the layout of the room is, that we can get in there and get shots of the ceremony untouched.
We also like to have enough time to, once we get the shots, that we can set up all of our video gear for the ceremony. Tripods with cameras, all of our audio gear that we need to set up, all sorts of things.
The good thing about this is that all of this stuff, and I'll probably mention this more than once, is provided in our pre-wedding questionnaire, which we've linked in a previous video, but we can also link it here. So depending on what kind of ceremony it is, whether it's a religious ceremony or a non-religious ceremony, after that, we will do the family formals. And for me, if I have a really nice detailed list of the family formals, I can typically knock those out within 20 minutes.
And we generally allot anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes for ceremony, depending on the type of ceremony. For example, Catholic ceremonies go at least an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, whereas your traditional non-religious ceremony could be anywhere from 15 minutes to 20 minutes.
Then we would figure out what the in-between time looks like with our couple and what they would like to do, since they've already previously done all of their photos.
We might pull them for another 20 minutes for photos. We might immediately go to reception to let them attend cocktail hour, get some footage and photos of cocktail hour, And that also gives us time to, at that point, get detailed shots of the reception space.
Once we've reached that portion of the evening at the reception, we are asking our clients what events are they wanting to do and when is that taking place for the timeline. So when is grand entrance? Are they cutting the cake right away, or are they doing that at some point later in the evening? When are speeches happening, and etc.
How many speeches are happening is also a big thing to take note of, because 3 speeches take far less time than, for example, 9 speeches. We've had 9 speeches before. The importance for that is setting expectations on how much time we actually will need for open dancing at the end.
So a lot of the timeline planning with our clients helps us know how much time we need to allocate for setup and changing lighting and things like that, and miking up people as well if they're speaking. And then we will figure out what time the first dances start and when open dancing will start. And then that will determine our coverage end time.
At this point in the meeting, we'll roughly know about what time we should be leaving and roughly about what time we need to get there. We usually arrive as the bridal party is finishing up hair and makeup and end about 30 to 40 minutes after open dancing. If that time frame is far more than the 8 hours that they've booked, then we have to either adjust dramatically or they have to purchase more hours with us.
All in all, the goal of our timeline meeting is to make sure that we narrow down our coverage start time and end time to make sure that we are able to capture everything that they want during the day, and if they might need to add on extra coverage.
If you're interested in a template for what our timelines generally look like, click the link in the description and we'll send it to you for free.
Hopefully all of this made sense to you, and hopefully our template helps kind of figure things out as far as your weddings go. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you did. Make sure you subscribe, and also we have a new membership option.
If you're interested in our memberships, just click the join button below, check out those options, and if you're so inclined, sign up for one. Other than that, that's all we got for now, so see you next time.
Peace.